Well, for more on the stories, I'm joined now on the line by RI special correspondent James Blue. Well, James, glad to have you join me again today. Interesting times and interesting speech. Maybe we should start with what you make about the tone of what Trump was saying as against the words that he was speaking to the people of America.
Yeah, good evening. Really great to be with you. And you know, indeed, that was a quite a strange speech. Usually, when presidents speak at the holiday period, it's usually a unifying message. It's usually a message of all coming together, of sort of peace and tranquility. But this was a politically combative defense of his economic record, and it really broke with presidential convention. He shouted it rally style. There was a lot of rhetoric, and it offered no major policy announcement, but it did really kind of go to his repeated denigrating and putting down of his previous president, President Biden. And so there are a number of false claims in the speech. And it really was not what was expected. It wasn't very presidential. And in many ways, that's the signature of Donald Trump. And so, we got Trump at his best, and it wasn't really of the season.
His best, that was not anything best. I mean, some people have wondered about 20 minutes speech, why that had to take prime time, because like you said, there were no policy statements there, and he seemed to have been screaming and shouting at the top of his voice. Well, Trump mentioned Biden more than half a dozen times during his short speech. But blaming Biden for the economy seems to be a hard sell for the Americans. Don't seem to be buying it because even a recent poll, among all the polls, well, the one that people could refer to is a station that he loves. The Fox News poll shows 62% of Americans blame Trump for the economy, whereas Biden, people who are blaming Biden, is only 32%. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's a strange approach. He's been in office now since January. It's almost exactly, um, January 20th, and it's now December 18th.
11.
He's been in office for quite a while, 11 months. And to blame Biden for the problems that he has created, largely with the tariffs and largely with inflation, which hasn't gone down as much as they'd like. Basically, he was trying to defend his economic policy, and he was in a sort of economic defense mode. His approval rating is quite low. You mentioned the Fox poll. The NPR PBS News poll, Maris, put him at 36% approval on the economy. That's his lowest ever. The entire speech was reactive damage control with no new solutions, recycle blame of Biden, and vague promises of a 2026 boom. It was defensive, and it really shows that he is quite vulnerable on the economy as the country heads into the midterms in 2026.
And politics, well, one of the statements he made, listen to Trump, 11 months ago, I inherited a mess and I am fixing it. Is he fixing it?
I think he is.
If indeed he did inherit a mess, is he fixing it?
Yeah, I think in his mind, he is fixing it. And basically, he's asking the American public to kind of stand by, to hold on, and to really just sort of wait because I'm going to make it better. He thinks the tariffs, he thinks the AI boom that we are experiencing with the stock market, he thinks all of these things are actually creating an economy that's going to be better, but it's not necessarily better yet. And more importantly, people aren't experiencing and feeling as if it's better. And that is the real issue. People are not having the day-to-day experience that they are doing better as a result of Donald Trump being in the office. And so I think what he was trying to do is to give himself some breathing room, to give himself some runway so that he could point out all the ways that he has changed things. But, he was shouting, he was giving political attacks, he had charts which the networks refused to use. And it's such a departure from presidential addresses. And that, to me, suggests the desperation and his inability to really find a unifying message that can carry his party forward.
One of the issues giving Americans generally sleepless nights, if you like to put it that way, is the issue of the health rising cost, the question of affordability. But he seemed to have deflected affordability concerns.
Yeah, he did not mention that at all because he really believes it's a hoax. And what he's really trying to do is say to the American public, don't believe how you feel, believe what I'm saying. And that is just a very hard place for people to be.
That's it.
And I think it's a really hard place for him to really get people to understand. He is basically trying to say, don't believe what you are going through, believe what I am saying. And in so doing, he's basically saying, you cannot believe the fact that you may not have enough money at the end of the month and you may be putting things on credit cards, but I'm telling you things are a lot better. I think there is a real dissonance between what people are experiencing day to day and what President Trump's would hope they would be experiencing, given all the work that he's tried to do.
That's a nice way to put it. Don't believe what you feel and believe what I am saying, which is a hard sell because the people that wear the shoe knows exactly how it's hurting them or where it is hurting them. I mean, this has been an issue that is dividing both the Democrats and the Republicans in the House and in the Senate. I mean, it's affected even the budget issues. Let's go to the question of wars. Trump claims he has ended 8 wars, and this from fact checkers. They're saying there's not one iota of truth in what Trump is saying, that the places he mentioned, that the wars are still ongoing.
Yeah, I think what President Trump is trying to do is point out that he has brought the status, he's brought the imprimatur, he's brought the weight of the US presidency. He's brought the White House, the Oval Office, to many conflicts around the world. You've seen him at work in the Hamas war in Israel. You've seen his work in the Ukraine and Russia conflict. He's been involved in Cambodia and Thailand. And so he is doing a lot of sort of presidential diplomacy trying to quote unquote end wars. It seems one of the challenges is that he hasn't been able to completely do that. And he has sort of dabbled here, dabbled there. But, we've had this ceasefire in Israel and Gaza for a while, but we've not been able to move to a second stage. We're told that that's going to happen in early New Year. But what he's really trying to get credit to understand this is that he has brought presidential weight to conflicts that people have been ignoring, and that he would like to have a hat tip for. He has not ended those wars just yet, but he has certainly brought more attention to them, and that is what's new.
Now, well, at least there was some, even though Americans may not be smiling about the economy, or may not be smiling about the affordability concerns, that they have, which is real, at least there's one section of Americans that are smiling. Trump says checks for $1,776 for 1.45 million U.S. service members were already on the way, and it will get to them before Christmas. A Christmas present.
Yeah, it's a Christmas present for those in the military. He's calling it a warrior dividend. And the thing that I can't understand, he completely undermined his overall speech because he said that there wasn't an affordability concern. I mean, that's what he said. He didn't mention it last night, but he actually says he wants to give the fighters and the people in the military this 1776 check. As you may know, next year in 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the founding of the US. And so it is a very concrete deliverable that gives people money that they can use and need, but it's a relatively minor actual effort in a very large political narrative. It's really just, a pinch of salt. And for the people who get it, I'm very happy for them. But there are a number of people who just have not had access to that kind of windfall and who wonder why them and not us.
Why them and not us? Like you're cherry picking, you're dividing them. Well, lastly, before I let you go, interestingly, Trump didn't use the word hoax when talking about affordability. What do you think happened?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
He didn't use the word hoax when talking about affordability this time around. So I'm wondering, what do you think happened? Is it his camp that was telling them, no, you can't use the word hoax, this is for real? People, the affordability concern is for real. Because he's been criticizing Democrats, saying it's a hoax. But this time around, he didn't use the word hoax.
Yeah, look, I think his advisors did get to him, and he did not use the term hoax. And in fact, he talked about these checks going to the military. Look, they have a problem. They have done a lot of work. People are paying more. One of the reasons we have inflation in the US at the moment is because of the tariffs.
Yep.
And so, tariffs cause people to pay more at the point where they buy things. And at the point where they buy things, that means the US citizens are paying for these tariffs. Anyway, I do believe he recognizes that the affordability crisis is real, inflation is real, prices remain too high, and he is now trying to do the things that he refused to do in the past, which is to acknowledge it. These 1776 checks are a part of it, and give people the money that they need to make life better for them here in the US so that they can have a sense of progress.
Because, solving a problem starts with accepting that there is a problem indeed. So thank you so much, Special Correspondent James Blue, for your time on The World.